Hello and welcome to another episode of Women in the Bar, where we talk to women lawyers about their life, their journeys, their struggle and successes. And today, to share her story, we have with us senior advocate Priya Hingorani. Ma'am has been a keen sports person and has represented the Delhi State as well as the University of Delhi in basketball. She did her LLB from the Faculty of Law, University of Delhi, and started her career in litigation in the year 1990. She was designated as senior advocate in the year 2019, and she has also worked with Dr. Devi Prasad, senior advocate and former Minister of State for Finance, along with many other prominent people in the field of law. Ma'am played an instrumental role in the Triple Talaq case, which led to the declaration of such form of talaq being unconstitutional, and has always been a pioneer of women's rights. She has also advocated for the rights of workers and scheduled caste. Welcome to Verdictum, ma'am. It was an honor to have you.
Thank you.
So, to begin with, tell us something about yourself. How did your journey begin? And was it something in your family or something that motivated you to this field of work?
Sukriti, I belong to a family of lawyers for at least from one side 3 generations and on the other side 4 generations. Both my parents are senior advocates practicing in the Supreme Court of India. My mother came from Kenya and from UK after becoming a barrister, and my father came at the time of partition to India, and he started practicing in the Supreme Court. So I think it was in my DNA to become a lawyer. Because having grown up in a family of lawyers and judges, so it was but natural that I would, join the profession. Also, when my parents, Mrs. Kapila Hingorani and Mr. N.H. Hingorani, started public interest litigation in India in 1979, and we saw the journey of public interest litigation in India and activism for working for rights of women, children, and the underprivileged who had no access to justice. We grew up knowing that, I particularly, along with my other 2 siblings, grew up knowing that we wanted to do nothing but law. So that's how I got into the profession. I've always known I wanted to be a lawyer.
So, I believe I read somewhere that the first case, or should I call the cause you got to argue, was not in the basketball court. So, tell us about that story.
Yes, actually, when I was a law student and a basketball player, as you mentioned earlier, the law faculty team for the first time entered into the tournament, which was being organized by the Delhi University. But we got a message from the organizers that they would not allow the law faculty women's basketball team to play in this tournament. So that really, upset all of us because we were practicing very hard. And this was for the first time in the history of law faculty that a women's basketball team was going to play in a tournament. So I went to my friends who were practicing in the P. Courts at that point in time and said, this is so unfair and we must do something. So they said, yes, of course, we'll file a petition and get an order. So one of my colleagues who's been with me for the last 30 years, a civil expert in civil law, Mr. Chaudhary, he drafted the petition overnight. It was made overnight and we went to the court in the morning and we found out that there was a strike in courts and they were not permitting lawyers to appear. So he and other friends briefed me saying that now as a student, as a law student, you'll have to appear petitioner in person. Because the case was filed in my name, it was Priya Hingorani versus University of Delhi. So I said, so that's how, then I appeared and I argued the case on behalf of my team and law faculty. And we got an order of staying the Delhi University basketball tournament and saying notice was issued, a stay was given that they could not hold the tournament without without taking our team. We got this order at about 10:15 and we got a dusty order and we rushed to the university and gave it to the officials there and said that you can't hold the tournament. Now the matter is in court. So that was my first case where I personally argued out of the blue, got an order, That's I was very excited. Until date, I have preserved that file. That file is with me in my office. Preserved that as one of my memoirs. Having started my legal profession as a law student.
So, talking about your initial days of litigation, what were the unique challenges you faced as a female lawyer in the court?
See, when my mother, Mrs. Hingorani, joined the profession in 1966, there were hardly any women. There were 4 women at that point in time. And so, I mean, I had grown up hearing that there were challenges, various challenges. It was a male dominated area. Women were not accepted. They were not felt that they were good enough to be in the profession. So from the time when she joined and fought the battles for many of us, and after that, a lot of other women joined in the profession. So when I joined the profession, there were still very few women, and of course, it was a struggle. It was an uphill task. We had only one Supreme Court judge, first woman judge appointed just about that time, and we didn't have any law officers, either the Attorney General, Solicitor General, or additional Solicitor Generals who were women. There were hardly any women who were judges of the high courts. The lower judiciary also had far and few women in the lower judiciary. So it was a challenge, particularly in litigation. We find that you have to work harder, you have to prove yourself much more than the men in the bar, and so it was an uphill task. It was not easy. You had to work very hard, work doubly hard than the men colleagues at the bar, and to prove yourself and to argue in court. Even the judges at that point in time, while they were very patient with the junior bar and they would listen to the junior bar and encourage us, but at the same time, there was a thought in their minds also that there was a woman lawyer appearing before them and they would ask questions, more questions. So it was an uphill task, it was a struggle, but I must say I was blessed because I had a lot of support from within the family as well as from other colleagues at the bar. So, as compared to a first generation lawyer, woman lawyer who comes into the bar, who faces many more issues and problems and finds it more difficult, coming from a family of lawyers, I must say that I did not face so many problems, but yes, I had to work very hard to prove myself.
So, talking about this proportion of women, why do you think there is this gender disproportion which still exists? As we can see, there are a couple of women which has been opting this profession, but still the number is not equal. So, why do you think this gender disproportion is there?
See, a lot of it is also because of the mindset. Many families in India do not want their daughters to become lawyers. They feel this is a particularly in litigation. They feel there is no job certainty, there is no financial certainty. It's only when you get work that you get the fees. It's not something at the end of the month you will have some amount in your account. Also, I find a lot of families feel that women who women if they become lawyers, find it difficult to get matches. It is difficult for girls to get married if they're lawyers. And a lot of families have had that mindset, oh, lawyer, no, we don't want a lawyer daughter-in-law. She knows her rights more than a normal daughter-in-law would know, which is actually unfair, because I think women lawyers are a big support system in their houses when they get married and they go to their houses, because they understand the law, they know the law, they're able to help not only their in-laws, the family, and also around them. So I think it's a very unfair mindset which is there as far as women lawyers is concerned. But recently, in the last decade or so, we find that a lot of more women lawyers have come into the corporate world, corporate litigation, because one, there is a certainty of a good pay from the law firm. Working environment is mostly office based. Very few times they have to step out of the office only for client meetings. So it's a comfort zone, as they say, in the corporate field. though they have to work equally hard. I mean, they do long hours. In fact, they do many times long hours, much more longer hours than women in litigation. But we find that now, I feel in the last few years, I find a lot more women are coming into litigation, and excellent. They are very good, especially from the law schools and school law colleges from metropolitan cities. Amazing set of young generation is coming into the profession, where men and women, and more women, and they of course are doing as well as the men are doing.
So, everyone says this litigation is a very ruthless profession. So, do you think it is ruthless, especially to women, or in general, to the beginners, it has always been a hard way?
It is a ruthless profession, no doubt about it. You have to be, in a way, in love with your profession to do well. This is it's like a jealous wife if for the men, and a jealous boyfriend for the women, because you have to spend a lot of time reading your briefs, interacting with your clients, looking up the case law. So, but as is it is in any other profession, whether it's a chartered accountant's profession or a medical profession, everybody has to work equally hard if you want to be successful and you want to do justice to your work. I find that in every profession, even in your profession, you have to be so well prepared before you go in for an interview or you write a story. So I think it's there. But yes, if you look at from the in the criminal law field, uh, very few women you will find doing criminal law cases, because they find that working with people in conflict, people with who have committed crimes, murders, rapes, or other heinous crimes, they prefer to go to male lawyers rather than coming to female lawyers. And female lawyers also feel that it's difficult to get their fees or make them, get their confidence. So they also are hesitant to do these kind of matters. Though now times have changed, things are changing. We find at the district court, definitely, and at the high court level, we have many more women lawyers who are doing a lot of criminal cases and criminal work. Uh, at the Supreme Court, I would say there are very few women lawyers who are actually specializing only in criminal work. But as far as the other fields are concerned, commercial litigation, service laws, matrimonial, I mean, we have very, very good women lawyers across the country. And but it depends on how hard you work. The harder you work, the more successful you are.
So, it has been observed that people prefer male lawyers compared to women because of the mindset, as we have discussed, especially in lower courts. So, why do you think this mentality is prevalent that women are not able to build credibility amongst their clients, especially in lower courts?
I don't agree with that now, because at the moment you would find so many young women lawyers working in the district courts. We have more women judges at the district courts. The percentage has gone up so much more. In fact, when they have these exams, we find women judicial officers topping the list rather than male judicial officers. So it's not so. I think there are many, many more women, and they're doing extremely well. What has happened now in India is that a lot of young law graduates have got together and opened up law firms. So there is a group. The culture of law firms is coming a lot more amongst the younger generation. So across the country, you'll find two or three friends, like-minded friends, lawyers, get together, open up law firms. So they have the support with each other, and then they have their juniors. So it makes it easier for them to, handle the work in all the courts and in the district courts. So I think that change is there. There is no, women don't find it difficult to work in the district courts, or find any difficulty. There is, yes, first generation lawyers always in any court, in any forum, are facing that kind of a problem. But as if they are, if they have a setup there, and the bar associations now have made facilities available in different courts for whether male or female lawyer to they have access to the Manupatra or different kind of online journals. AIRs, SCC, so that it's the working environment in the bar associations has become much better now, particularly for the young lawyers.
There is no doubt that networking is the key for the work of a litigator. So, do you think women face challenges compared to men when it comes to building a client base or setting up a networking funnel?
Yes, of course. I find that it is there. It's women usually do not take out time to network. They don't actually have the time to network because if they're married, between the children, the family, the in-laws, their work, they very seldom do they get any time to network or go out and just with the clients and meet them and all. But I find that if you do good work by word of mouth, by your work, you get enough work. You do get work. So yes, networking is an issue. But the corporate culture in the corporate law firms of networking is slightly different from individual practitioners. So individual practitioners would not go out that often to network or do client meetings outside of work. But in the corporate law firms, there is the culture of the law firm itself, networking. So there we find many young men and women lawyers participating in that. So I personally feel your work speaks for yourself. So if you're good at your work, by word of mouth, by your reputation, you do get the work. So you don't need to network that much.
Have you ever been subjected to a gender biased or a chauvinist comment by your male colleagues, or in the corridors of the court?
I have not. As I mentioned, I very early on in the profession, knew exactly what is in store, and so I always had, there are certain etiquettes one must maintain when you're at the bar, and so I had that privilege of learning that very early in my career as a lawyer, because of my parents being there, because of my mother, who was known as the mother of public interest litigation. Apart from that fact that she was a very bold and straightforward person who would speak her mind if she found something wrong at the bar, whether it was in court or in the corridors. And people were always in awe of her, or even I would say to the point, scared of her. So I also, whenever I reached the bar, I also had, in a way, that kind of a reputation. People were scared to say things which are not right to me or in front of me. And I had the fortune of becoming the first woman secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association in 1999. That was the year we were celebrating 50 years of the Supreme Court of India and Supreme Court Bar Association. So I was known as a very tough person. I still am known as a very tough person. But I, of course, did not face anything in the corridors ever. But yes, in court, whenever you are arguing cases in the heat of the moment, you do hear colleagues, kind of make a comment or say something which is not appropriate. And we counter it. I mean, I've always countered it and fought back. So I think it also depends on your own personality and your strength, your inner strength, as to how you handle yourself in court. So neither have I had, had any kind of an alteration with any judge or with my colleagues. Comments come in the heat of the moment, and you kind of just either you respond to them or you just ignore them. So that's how it has been. But yes, as the secretary of the bar, I was the secretary for 3 years. Then I went on to become the vice president of the Supreme Court Bar Association. I had my own challenges as a woman being on these posts in a male-dominated atmosphere. So I had challenges as the secretary of the bar and as the vice president. And till now, we've never had a woman president at the Supreme Court Bar Association. So, which is something, that glass ceiling we all women lawyers are hoping to, break in the coming years. So, but yeah, there are challenges of different types.
So, if I may ask, Advocate Priya Hingorani had to summarize her incredible journey in few words. So, how would you do it, and what was your major lesson? Is there any specific case in your career you find as a defining moment?
Absolutely. You know, when I started the profession in, as you mentioned, in 1990, in 1991, because, my mother had set up these women organizations and had drafted their memorandum of articles and their bylaws and all. I mean, she was not only my mentor uh, and guide, she was a mentor and guide for many women across the country at that point in time in the early 80s. So she had set up helped various women organizations set up their, MOUs and bylaws and make their bylaws. And at that time, she was also advising Mahila Dakshita Samiti, a very prominent organization, and National Federation of Indian Women, again another prominent women organization. And they used to get lots of cases by way of telegrams or by of physically people coming to complain and all. So there are two such cases which actually changed my career to, or started my career in the Supreme Court in a big way. Where first was a case of a lady who was sold to a quota in Kasganj by her in-laws because she gave birth to a girl child, and that girl child was killed the night she was born, and the this lady was sold off to the quota in Kasganj by her mother-in-law and her husband, and the girl's mother was a poor woman who used to do household chores in people's houses. And she came to the National Federation of Indian Women and said that, I can't find my daughter and they are not telling me. I feel they have killed her, but the child has been killed and they feel. So, so we filed a case. We tried to locate her all over. Then we filed a habeas corpus petition in the Supreme Court as guided by my parents. And I appeared in that case right from the beginning, and we were able to find her with great difficulty only because of the intervention of the Honorable Supreme Court from Kasganj, and because there are so many quotas there, and we didn't know where exactly she was. So the UP police was put into action, and we found her in a totally vegetative state. She was produced in court. That was really, really heart-wrenching when she was produced in court by the police. She could barely walk. She was assisted, a young girl of 16, 17-year-old girl, assisted by the police because she couldn't walk. She was incoherent, and so the mother was present in court, and the judges asked the mother, is she your daughter? Do you recognize her? Because they had produced two girls. There was another girl who was a girl who used to dance in the bars. By the same name. So the mother recognized her daughter, and she said, "She's my daughter." So then the court took custody of her, put her in a hospital first. She was first given medical care, and then she was put in a short stay home, and much later she was handed over to the mother. So that was one case, and simultaneously, just around the same time, this other case where these three girls from Haryana, they were kidnapped, and two of them were gang raped by the cousin and his friends because they had a lot of land in their name. The father had died, and he had put land in the name of all these three girls, and the cousin wanted this land to be transferred in his name, so they could dispose of the land, and the girls refused, so they were kidnapped, and two of them were gang raped by the friends and cousins, and they were taken from one state to the other to the other. So that was again a habeas corpus file, which this case had come to Mahila Dakshita Samiti, and again we filed this case in Supreme Court, and right from the beginning I was appearing in this matter, and it was because it was a state from between UP and Rajasthan. They were shifting from one place to the other, so we had the court directed both the state police to trace them, and we finally traced them in some far off place in Rajasthan, and they were produced. And again, they were both the elder girls. One of them actually became pregnant later. So there was a lot of issues. The court, the Honorable Supreme Court was so progressive at that point in time that they made the government, they made the girls open their bank accounts. The land was sold under the supervision of the Supreme Court. All that money was transferred in the accounts of these girls so that nobody could, again harm them or touch them or take away their money. And of course, later on, much later on, both these girls were married off to very nice boys and they're happily settled. But these are two cases in the initial years of my profession, which I did, and they really changed my way of thinking and working. And ever since then, I've been doing a lot of work pro bono for women in distress, children, even men for that matter, who have, we did cases for people in Bihar who had not got their salaries for years and years. And we were managed to get them their salaries, some amount of salaries by the orders of the court. So yes, I think this profession is a very, very honorable and noble profession. I feel that we must work with great dedication in whatever we do. And my just message would be, or I am what I am today, one, because of my parents, who have really instilled the best in me, and also because of this profession where I have, learned a lot and I continue to learn.
So, what changes, in your opinion, are required to create a gender neutral environment in the courts so that more and more women can come to this profession and can choose to serve the society and like other women as well?
See, first of all, I think it's the mindset. The main thing is the mindset. Not only to start with from the families and the parents, that they should encourage women, young girls, and to join the profession, because this is a great profession to be in. After that, of course, the mindset in the judicial system per se, where whether it is the judges or the lawyers, that they should be able to, accept the fact that women are as good as them, if not better. And women, within women themselves, the confidence that women must have. I feel every woman at school level and college level must, be legally aware of their legal rights, and that awareness program should be there from the government side, from in schools as well as in universities, to create an awareness that what at least you should know your basic rights, so that you don't have these kind of issues that we face. Mostly women face a lot of problems in their matrimonial lives. They do not know what their rights are. They're not socially aware of what they can do, what they cannot do. So I think that mindset change, the awareness across the country, particularly in the two-tier cities and the villages and smaller places. In the metropolitan cities, I think women are very well aware, and there are many programs. But I must compliment the social media and the print and social media for taking up cases, bringing out issues, because in today's age, social media plays such an important role in the lives of people, that whenever there is an issue which is hard hitting, or even it's about awareness, the media plays a very important role and brings out these cases. So I do compliment the media for this.
So, finally, what are the words of wisdom would you like to share with all our young professionals, as well as the do's and don'ts for the successful career in litigation?
First of all, I would say be very, very strong, have a lot of self-confidence, be honest to your profession, maintain the highest standards of ethics. That's most important. Your reputation is the biggest, tool or certificate that you have in the legal profession. And that's what counts in the long run. Don't take shortcuts. Work hard. You need to be honest not only to your clients but to your colleagues, to the court. So maintain the highest standards of ethics and integrity. Of course, everybody isn't as self-confident or confident as others are, but if you're happy from within, that confidence comes in. So first of all, happiness comes from within. So first thing you must do is be happy in life. And with that, a lot of your issues get resolved. And so I would say first thing in the morning is get up with a smile, thank God for the blessings that you have, and start your day with a lot of confidence.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming to Verdictum and sharing these wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Take care.